todos y bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo del canal. Estamos aquí de vuelta con GENSHIN IMPACT en la 2.8 y ha llegado el momento de empezar algo épico, que no es otra cosa que una de las misiones legendarias. Concretamente, ya lo sabréis, pero estoy hablando de esta misión de por aquí, de la de Legendaria Kazuha. Su primera misión legendaria por fin, después de un evento en el cual tuvo gran protagonismo, ha llegado el momento de descubrir por fin más de este gran personaje. Así que vamos allá, vamos a usar una llave legendaria y ahí está desbloqueada su misión. Así que vamos a la interfaz y vamos a empezar, en este caso, a hacer Palmatum Acto 1, un camino sin amigos. En medio de su travesía, Paimon y tú pasan cerca de la llanura de Biako. Una sombra púrpura en la llanura. Vamos allá. Ya sabéis que hay que ir a una zona que, como podréis encontrar o ver, se encuentra en una zona en la cual ya hemos estado obviamente hace mucho tiempo, que es cerca de la isla de Narukame. Así que yo os recomiendo que os tepeéis, por ejemplo, aquí, y desde aquí pues vamos a ir avanzando un poquito a ver cómo continúa el viaje de nuestro amigo Kazuha. La verdad que tenía muchísimas ganas de esta misión legendaria, porque hay muchas cosas de este personaje, como lo de la visión de su amigo, que se han quedado en el tintero. Y yo creo que con una misión legendaria quizás podamos averiguar un poquito más, ¿no?, de todo esto. Aún así, la aventura seguro se viene porque es un personaje brutal. Y vamos a ver qué pasa aquí.
It's been a while since we first set foot on Inazuma. So many things have happened since then.
¿Hay tantos recuerdos entrañables?
Yeah, we've definitely made some progress on our journey. So, where should we go today?
Espera.
Huh? What's up?
Ten cuidado.
Hey, what the heck was that for?
Bueno. Atacante repentino, ¿no? Lleva una espada rara, ¿no?
All right, let's convince him to come.
¡Vamos, Duke! He fallado de lleno. ¿Ha desaparecido?
So you don't have a vision after all. Seems like I've mistaken you for someone else.
At the very least, you should make sure you've got the right person before you go attacking them. No, wait. Even when you've got the right person, you shouldn't go attacking them out of the blue. It's dangerous.
Have you ever met someone by the name of Kazuha? He carries a sword just like you. I've also heard that he possesses an animo vision.
¿Qué quieres de él?
That's none of your business. Never mind. You don't look like you know anything anyway. I'm wasting my time.
Bueno, pues empieza esto con un encuentro extraño.
This guy's problem. Coming around here, waving that weird sword in our faces, and he didn't even apologize. Well, one thing's for sure. No way are we telling him anything about Kazuha.
Estoy de acuerdo.
Right? Paimon has a feeling, though, that even if this guy gets to challenge Kazuha to a duel, he won't be able to beat him. Anyway, just to be on the safe side, we should go fight Kazuha.
Vale, pues parece que tiene razón, y lo cierto es que tengo una corazonada, así que vamos a buscar a Kazuha. Creo que ese tipo tiene una conexión especial con Kazuha.
A special connection? You mean beyond already knowing each other?
Su manera de luchar es parecida.
Yeah, maybe a little. But then again, most people look pretty much the same once they start fighting, so that doesn't really prove anything. Anyway, there's no time to lose. Let's go tell Kazuha so we won't get into anything. Paimon heard that the Crux fleet is stocking up in Rito at the moment. Let's
Vale,
look for
pues
him.
vamos a buscarlo junto a la flota en Rito. Gracias, Paimon, por enterarte de todo. Y aquí está, hacer Palmatum Acto 1, un camino sin amigos. Lo que digo, se supone que ahora, si la flota debería de estar allí, deberíamos de poder teletransportarnos. Pero bueno, en este caso vamos a venir por aquí y a ver qué pasa. Empieza interesante esta legendaria, hay que decirlo. Últimamente lo que son las misiones, eventos y demás, algunos me están flipando bastante. Pero sobre todo lo que digo, las legendarias y los encuentros. Chao. Chao del nombre del personaje, ¿eh? ¿Sabes dónde está Kazuha?
You're looking for Kazuha too, huh? Guess he must have done something impressive after all.
¿También?
Well, we took the small vessels into Rito on a routine supply run, only this time, as soon as we entered the harbor, we ran into a huge crowd of Inazumans, all of them wanting to know about Kazuha. If it's because of that battle on Nizuchi Beach, Captain Beto had a great run there too, but I don't see her getting this kind of attention. Kazuha keeps to himself most of the time. In fact, there are times when he doesn't even listen to the captain, but she just laughs it off.
Oh, so you still don't know what he did?
I've heard bits and pieces. Something about him blocking the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. Is it really as big a deal as everyone's making it out to be?
Supongo que es como la técnica que Beidou usó para derrotar a Hashain.
Really? Wow. When you put it like that, it all makes sense. He was called away earlier by some people from the Tenryou Commission. They said they had something important to discuss with him. I thought they'd come to arrest him at first. Turns out they couldn't have been friendlier to him.
Just a little while ago, this would have been completely unimaginable.
Después de todo, la mentalidad de Shogun Raiden ha cambiado.
Thank you. Guess we'll go pay a visit to the Tenryou Commission.
Vale, pues parece que nos vamos.
I'll just stay here and carry on trying to fend off the crowd.
Vale, chao. Amigo. Bueno, vamos ahí con Diluc. Está bastante lejos, está en Narukami. Vamos aquí en la isla de Narukami, ya sabéis. Ciudad de Inazuma y Palio. ¡Oh! Vale. ¡Hey, Kazuha!
Oh? It's you.
Soy yo, sí.
Greetings. We were just discussing the repealing of the Vision Hunt decree. Since you're here, you're very welcome to listen
Hola,
in on the
Kamaji.
conversation. We invited Mr. Kaedahara here to extend a gesture of goodwill on behalf of the Shogunate. Your hard work has secured for us the agreeable state of affairs that we now enjoy. Also, I've been granted the chance to correct my clan's past mistakes, and for that, I'm deeply grateful. The Almighty Shogun has issued a large array of directives aimed at resolving, or at least easing, the tensions that have built up over the years. The Tri-Commission has made the recommendation to use this opportunity to restore the honor of the Kaedahara name. Regarding the history of the Kaedahara clan, I trust that you're already somewhat informed?
Algo he oído.
In short, there was once a group of select bladesmiths who served the Shogun directly, responsible for upholding and further developing the traditional blade forging arts of the Almighty Shogun. But there came a time when some of these bladesmiths revolted and fled to Snezhnaya. Both the Kaedahara and Kamisato clans were held accountable for lax oversight and entered a period of great turmoil. We later learned that the whole misadventure had been secretly orchestrated by the Fatui, attributing all of the blame to
Ya
the
sabéis que todo esto lo
Kamisato
vimos
and
en el evento
Kaedahara
del
clans was
festival de
neither proper
Ikebana.
nor just.
Aquí, o el festival, mejor dicho, de
Considering Mr.
Inazuma, que la
Kaedahara
verdad que
has
me
once
parece
more
de lo
made
más
an
interesante que
outstanding
podéis ver en cuanto a
contribution
lore del
to
juego,
Inazuma, the Almighty Shogun believes he should not only be rewarded for his achievements, in the interest of preventing further harassment of the Bladesmith clans by the Fatui, we chose not to publicly release the findings of our investigations into these matters.
This is a true honor. I am delighted to be in a position to receive the goodwill of the Almighty Shogun and the Shogunate at large.
Me encanta
However,
Kazuha.
would I be correct to assume that this magnanimous gesture does not...
I can assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. We seek only to correct a past injustice. With the Kaedahara clan's reputation and occupation restored, the Kaedaharas will be bladesmiths once more, and your wanderings will finally come to an end. You will be able to lead a safe and prosperous life in Inazuma City with the Almighty Shogun's blessing and full support of the Shogunate.
I have grown accustomed to life among the elements. I fear I would no longer feel at home behind the tall walls of a stately abode. Yet my ancestors did indeed take great pride in the name of Kaedahara, and the art of blade making for which it stood.
I sense some hesitation in your words. Should you accept this offer, I imagine many of the malicious rumors currently circulating through the populace will disappear.
Malicious rumors? All we heard on the way here was so much praise that we almost wondered whether there was another Kaedahara Kazuha.
Well, to some, the Muso no Hitotachi is something that can never be defeated. They cannot accept the idea that Mr. Kaedahara really parried the Shogun's strike. Also, eyewitnesses saw him using the power of Electro in addition to that of Animo. As a result, the falsehood that Kaedahara Kazuha was using a delusion began to spread.
What? But that doesn't make sense. Using a delusion turns you old and frail, and Kazuha
Como una lechuga, toma ya.
That is correct. However, to some people, the idea of a single person wielding two elements at once is a more inconceivable notion.
Ya sabéis que fue la visión rota de su amigo.
This is just one of many similar rumors. I am very uncomfortable with being the subject of public discussion, but perhaps if the shogunate is willing to publicly support me, this situation will blow over more quickly.
This is precisely why I encourage you to give our offer some serious thought.
Please allow me some time to consider. In fact, let us put this discussion on hold for the moment. Well then, what brings the two of you here?
Yikes! We nearly forgot about the most important thing!
Vale, hablamos sobre el ataque que hemos sufrido a manos de un espadachín
Such a
afuera.
dangerous individual be looking for me.
¿Sería otro discípulo de tu maestro?
No. This puzzles me as much as it does you. My fighting forms were taught to me by my family, based on techniques originally developed for blade testing. Over time, these techniques came to form something of a Kaedehara sword art, focused on blade testing, but with a full repertoire of combat forms. Those forms are quite different from the more practical ones typically used by samurai in
All the more reason to watch your back! This guy was a serious nutcase.
Indeed. He sounds highly aggressive. Anyone he targets is at risk of serious injury.
In that case, I will send some men out immediately to search for him.
Thank you. I must say I am now very curious about this matter, and I will also
Vale,
need some
parece que se lo va a
time to
pensar todo lo
consider
que le ha
your offer.
ofrecido la Comisión Tenryu y el Shogunato.
I will first join the traveler in investigating the one who attacked him, then give you a conclusive answer upon my return.
Very well. Please stay safe.
Vale.
Come on. Let's go and track down your aggressor.
Pues nada, vámonos ahí con Kazuha.
The detective agency
Vale.
knows the most.
Me voy a ir rapidito, vamos a ver qué ocurre
See
ahora.
what Ryuji has to say.
Vale, hay que preguntarle a Ryuji. Lo bueno es que está cerca de donde nos encontramos, así que al lío que vamos. ¿En serio no puedo pasar por un paraguas? Qué locura. Ryuji, detective de la
Hey
comisión.
there! We'd like to ask you a quick question. Do you know if anyone around here has been looking for him? For Kaedehara Kazuha, we mean.
Aha! So this is the renowned Mr. Kaedehara. I've heard a lot about you. It is an honor to finally meet you today.
You are too kind. We are currently investigating an assault and would appreciate any help you can offer.
Oh? You were targeted in an assault? Let me think. I can't seem to recall anything of immediate interest. Mr. Kaedehara is currently the talk of the town, so there are always a lot of people looking for him. To be honest with you, our detective agency has recently been receiving many inquiries from people wishing to obtain Mr. Kaedehara's personal information. Some of them were offering us millions of mora just to gather the information they want. If these were more legitimate commissions, Sango would have snapped them up in an instant.
Millions? Of mora? Whoa! Oh, wait. Even at that price, you probably still shouldn't.
Please, accept my thanks for looking out for my privacy.
Of course. No matter what, we only take on legitimate cases. We don't make our money by revealing details of other people's day-to-day life just for the sake of it. Sorry, I got a little off topic. What I'm really trying to say is, it doesn't surprise me that a complete stranger is looking for Mr. Kaedehara. But I wouldn't know where to begin if we want to connect this with an assault.
Then let's put that connection aside for now. Have there been any other attacks or similar incidents recently that stand out as particularly unusual? The Tenryou Commission had very few leads. I thought you might have some information from different sources.
It's true that the commissioners aren't clued up about every little thing that goes on out in the streets. But typically, it's only the most trivial events that manage to escape their attention. If anyone had been out there attacking people, that would be assault, in which case the Tenryou Commission would absolutely get involved.
Uh-oh. Looks like the trail's already run cold.
I still find it difficult to believe that whoever attacked you hasn't been causing any trouble elsewhere. Few people possess your prowess in battle. So unless you were the first person he targeted, someone is certain to have been hurt by now.
¿Eso es un cumplido, Kazuha?
I am well aware of your talents. There is no need to be humble around me. It would cause me great grief to see someone become critically injured or lose their life because of me. For the poor victim, this would be a completely senseless crime.
Don't worry, we'll find him.
It seems you are every bit the selfless hero they make you out to be, Mr. Kaedehara. Surely this same concern for your fellow man is what drove you to fearlessly raise your blade against the almighty Shogun.
You flatter me. Truth be told, I don't know quite what came over me in that moment.
You are much too humble. Don't worry, I completely understand your concerns. Oh, actually, there was one strange incident over the last few days. Let me tell you about it just in case.
Sure. During times like this, the more information we have, the better.
All right then. Recently,
Dos
two people
personas.
went missing from the city at around the same time. One of them is a pretty well-known collector, surnamed
Nagato.
Nagato. The other, Amenoma Yuya, is a samurai
Ya,
from the
vale, han
Amenoma
desaparecido un coleccionista llamado Nagato y una...
Now there's a
Versace, ¿no?
familiar name.
Es una de las 5 familias, ¿no?
Right. Yuya is the nephew of
Ah, no,
Amenoma
el de
Togo,
herrería.
the owner of Amenoma Smithy. Two grown men going missing at the same time. I recalled this because Amenoma Yuya is also an accomplished martial artist who is skilled with the blade. Perhaps he is the one you are looking for.
Understood, though it seems highly unlikely to me. I neither know this man, nor do I have any idea
Investiguemos ambos
why he
casos
may
al
wish
mismo
to
tiempo.
attack.
Sure, can't hurt. We never know what we might find out along.
Thank you, Ryuji. We'll start by making some inquiries at the Amenoma Smithy.
Sounds good. All the best with your investigation. I'll get...
Vale, pues parece que por fin tenemos una pista, ¿no? Vamos a ver ahora qué tal. Ahí está Sango. Lo bueno, la herrería está aquí a girar. ¡Hola, Tugo! Vamos a ver.
Ah, if it isn't Kaedehara Kazuha. What brings you here today?
Huh? You two know each other?
Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. Historically, there have always been deep links between the two clans. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited Mr. Amenoma to pay my respects.
Ah, ya veo.
Yes, you may recall the story of the Raiden
Ahí
Gokaden
está el
from
Festival
Irodori
Irodori.
Festival.
Though all bladesmiths trace their craft back to the same source, as an example, the Amenoma art strives to emulate the abiding patience and determination of water. There is nothing mystical to our work. There is only practice, day in and day out. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan, I
Technical
believe it's
Ishin.
called the Ishin art.
That's right. Ishin art strives for complete harmony between blade and mind from the moment that forging begins. For only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings, and eventually become an extension of its wielder's will.
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades, but an Ishin blade chooses its owner. You are, without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Ishin blade. It gladdens my heart to see that although the Kaedehara clan has fallen on hard times, its ideals and virtues are alive and well.
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own personal sentiments, not by any noble aspirations on behalf of my clan. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit today is to gather some information on your missing nephew. We hope to assist with the investigation. It may turn out that this case is connected to another we are pursuing.
Ah, yes. My nephew. I reported the case to the Tenryou Commission, but I haven't heard anything back so far. He didn't say a word before he left, which is very unlike him. I'm
Vaya.
still completely at a loss on what to make of it, but I've done what I can so far. Worrying is futile. All I can do now is wait for the news from the Tenryou Commission.
We heard that there was a collector involved in the disappearance too.
Yes. On the morning that Yuya went missing, he gave me a very cryptic look and said that he was going to give me a great gift. I believe he went to collect the item from Mr. Nagato after that. The next thing I heard was that a fire had broken out at the warehouse.
¿Un
And
incendio?
neither of... Yes. Strange, isn't it? I wonder what could have caused it.
Do you have any thoughts on what Yuya may have wanted to give you?
If I had to guess, it must have been some kind of rare weapon. Otherwise, there would have been no reason for him to get my hopes up. He's never been particularly interested in blade forging, but has always had a fondness for blade testing. He is extraordinarily talented in martial arts, particularly when it comes to the art of the sword.
Truth be told, we have some information that you may find to be objectionable. The person we are looking for, he attacked this friend of mine.
Yo creo que es por la
Based on
espada,
the
¿eh?
evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's profile.
What? No. Absolutely impossible. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal of calming his mind.
La espada.
Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, it's that Yuya would never draw his blade without a very good reason. But, with that said, it's equally out of character for him to just disappear, with neither farewell, nor... I also cannot know what course of action he might be capable of if coerced, or otherwise compelled by circumstances unbeknownst to me. Anyway, should you find him, please let me know as soon as possible.
Don't worry, you have our word.
Vale, pues parece que hemos descubierto
From the
algo.
sound of that, Paimon doesn't think Yuya was the one who attacked us as well.
Deberíamos de hablar con la familia de Nagato.
Yes, it sounds as if something happened when the two men met each other. Let's pay a visit to the Nagato household.
Vale, pues vamos a la casa de Nagato a ver qué pasa. La casa de Nagato, como podéis ver, se encuentra concretamente ahí arriba. Y creo que hay un TP, ¿no? Literalmente al lado. No, vamos a coger este y hacemos el saltito. Ahí está. Ok, después de cambiar un poquito a la noche para que esto quede más detectivesco, vamos a seguir buscando qué está pasando aquí con nuestro amigo Kazuha, ese espadachín misterioso y esa espada tan extraña. Así que vamos con Diluc a ello.
I'm very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay what we owe right now. My husband has gone missing, and I'm still trying to find him.
No, you misunderstand us. We are here to help with the investigation. We'd like to ask you some questions about Mr. Nagato's disappearance, if we may.
Ah, I see. I thought the debt collectors had come to visit again. I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state. Has some new information come out? Do you know where he's gone?
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. We're still trying to find out as much as we can to inform our search. With this in mind, can we perhaps ask some questions about your family's current situation?
For example, Paimon's struggling to understand why a collector would be strapped for Mora.
That's a long story. Ever since I've known him, he's been an avid collector of all sorts of things. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself, but seeing how enthusiastic and excited they made him, I was happy to believe that they were just extremely important to him. Everything was fine when we first got married, but as time went by, things changed for the worse.
Uh-oh, what happened?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more things, and even resorted to borrowing money just so he could pay for them. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. There were days when he'd spend hours down at the warehouse, admiring his weapons even as debt collectors were descending upon our house. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. Just sat there staring at them like he was in a trance. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first. I've tried talking to him about it so many times, but he never listens. On the last day that I saw him, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, if he refused to sell his collectibles and pay off his debts, I would divorce him and take the children with me.
Whoa!
And that led to an argument.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man who likes to go with the flow. On most things, he leaves the decision-making to me. You must understand, I never would have dreamed of threatening him with divorce if the debts hadn't pushed our family to the brink. After I said those words, he froze and was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, he awkwardly mumbled that he would pick out a few items to sell. His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen to our family?
Hiciste lo correcto.
Had I not indulged his bad habits, we wouldn't have found ourselves in such... And I also don't know if he had actually come to his senses, or if he was simply angry with me. The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and both he and the buyer had gone missing.
I see. Ame-no-me Yuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato. During the sale, a fire broke out at the warehouse.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into an argument over the price, but my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries, so it's hard to imagine him getting into a fierce argument.
Maybe he was feeling the pressure from the debts?
I don't know. He just disappeared after the warehouse burned down. Perhaps he's too afraid to come home now that all his collectibles have been lost in the fire, and he's got no way to pay off our debts. Even though I'm still a little mad at him, we're a family, and I want us to face our family's crisis together. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know we can work things out.
Please don't get upset. There could be more to this situation than meets the eye. If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, it is quite unusual for this habit to change so drastically over a short period. But the information we gathered from the other side suggests Ame-no-me Yuya is also a mild-mannered man who would... This situation is getting a little confusing.
A little confusing? More like completely mystifying.
Let's try a change of scenery and see if we can piece together what we've learned. Rest assured, we'll notify you if we find anything.
Thank you so much. I just want him to come home.
Bueno, pues parece que cada vez vamos resolviendo más de este misterio. Y ahora a ver qué pasa.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the sales meeting between the two men was somehow the catalyst for their disappearance. The fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded, though its exact role is a mystery. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, Paimon was thinking that maybe someone accidentally knocked over an oil lamp and... Nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
¿Y si provocaron el incendio para ocultar la verdad?
An interesting explanation. Ame-no-me Yuya is an expert on swords. He could have noticed some problematic details about Mr. Nagato's collectibles. Maybe he recognized a blade as a fake, or a well-known stolen item. Either way, after arguing about it, they thought a fire would destroy everything. But then the Tenryou Commission began investigating and uncovered some incriminating details, so they fled to protect their secrets. But it's a far-fetched theory. I can't imagine how they would have been able to reach an agreement. One fact that I keep coming back to is that Amenoma Yuya is polite and well-mannered, while Mr. Nagato is introverted and passive. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the only one of them with the potential motive to disappear after the fire. The more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes. Just what could have happened there?
Tampoco parece estar conectado con el atacante.
Right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no other details that we've learned seem to link the two events together. Amenoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a practitioner of the blade testing techniques of Amenoma art.
Darn! We thought we could get 2 birds with 1 stone here, but at this rate, it's starting to look like a wild goose chase.
Let's keep going, since we've come this far. If we can solve the case, both Mr. Amenoma and Mrs. Nagato will be able to get some closure.
Okay, but where should we go now?
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse. There's still a chance we may be able to find some shreds of evidence.
Vale. Pues nada, parece que toca continuar aquí con la investigación. Me estoy quedando bastante loco porque realmente hay muchas cosas que son intrigas ahora mismo y no sabemos qué está pasando. Así que nada, vamos a ver si con un poquito de suerte descubrimos la verdad.
Wait,
Esperen.
I hear something ominous in the...
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you can hear. As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that vision thief at Beto's tournament.
Eres bastante confiable, Kazuho.
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the sound.
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now, but I can still sense the direction it left in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. The remnants of the Tatarigami.
¿Los Tatarigami?
Indeed. But this unexpected spring of inauspicious energy may prove to be of benefit to our investigation. We should remain vigilant and approach slowly.
Vale, pues parece que vamos a acercarnos a algo malvado.
So it's an underground warehouse.
The force is definitely coming from down below. The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place, but the residue it left behind still hasn't dissipated. Judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude that the Tatarigami source resided here for a very...
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the warehouse by himself a lot.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that time.
¿Cómo es que nadie lo notó?
From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys into violent monsters, but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could explain why he became an obsessive hoarder.
So what should we do now? Go down and take a look?
Vaya, vaya.
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside.
Es muy peligroso.
If we don't open this door, we can move no closer to the truth. You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than...
Pues vamos allá.
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse to rubble.
No sé si eso es bueno o malo.
That was too scary.
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami energy source left 2 ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami.
Démonos prisa.
Yes, let's go. If nothing else, it's vital that we find out where this Tatarigami energy is coming from. Quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around you. Perhaps you too will perceive its ominous presence in the wind.
Vale. Se ve bastante la hora esta.
From this point, the trail appears to split into two. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance, but a small portion remained here.
¿Será Nagato y Yame, no Yuya?
Quite possibly.
Vale.
Whoa! Look at all those silly churls! They're acting really strangely.
Something seems to be drawing their attention. Let's take a closer look.
Lay waste to the wicked!
Barbados!
Vale.
Ugh! Look at this red stuff!
By the looks of it, a letter, written on a piece of torn clothing. The ink is bone dry. It must have been written quite some time ago. Well, let's take a look.
Me llamo Nagato, fui herido por Amenona Yuya. Él me robó mi más preciada espada, así que lo perseguí, pero no fui capaz de alcanzarle. Estoy tan cansado que no tengo más remedio que descansar aquí. La herida de mi vientre no deja de sangrar, no creo que me quede mucho más tiempo. Aunque siento como si alguna extraña fuerza estuviera haciendo que resista. ¿Por qué me robaría la espada? Ya habíamos acordado que se vendería, incluso ha quemado mi almacén. Me duele tanto, pero por algún motivo no termino de perder la conciencia. Lo único que puedo hacer para no pensar en el dolor es escribir. ¿Qué será hecha de Sachiko, Yuichi, Yuji? Me gustaría tanto decirles que lo siento, estaba demasiado obcecado y me dejé llevar por mi obsesión. Debo de haber sido presa de alguna maldición. Todo este tiempo coleccionando esos objetos extraños, pero no me han traído ni felicidad ni el cariño que tanto anhelo. Todos juntos no valen tanto como una mera palabra suya. Gracias, Sachiko. Lamento mucho haberte defraudado.
According to this letter, a conflict arose because Amenoma Yuya wanted to seize a blade belonging to Mr. Nagato. Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight. Mr. Nagato kept chase as long as he could, eventually stopping here to write this letter when his...
So...
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Add to that the fact that its aura seems to have attracted a horde of monsters, and I'm afraid he may no longer be with us. Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this point, they've since been disturbed by the hilly churls.
Pediremos a la comisión Tenryu que haga una búsqueda exhaustiva.
Yes. Right now, we need to uncover some more important truths. If Amenoma Yuya is attacking other people indiscriminately, then the longer we take to find him...
Right! So let's get moving!
Él no es así.
I wouldn't be surprised. For a practitioner of the martial arts, the easiest desire to inflame would be their pursuit of further power and skill. All the clues that at first seemed disparate and disconnected. It seems that now we know the thread that runs between them. I have a hypothesis that, if it's correct, not only explains the series of events leading to the two men's disappearance, but also zeroes in on the attacker's identity.
Wait! You figured it out? So these two cases are connected after all?
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish idea.
Pues vamos a encontrarlo.
On with the search. We must stay vigilant.
Vale. Me está gustando, la quest, la verdad que se ve bastante interesante. Y ojo, por aquí, esto... A ver, uy. A ver qué pasa por aquí.
He seems
Vale,
to have
aquí se queda un buen rato.
Why here? Is there anything special about this place?
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in time.
Show yourself. It's no use hiding anymore.
Ahí está.
Kaedehara Kazuha. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is the same guy from before.
Pues aquí está.
Problem, huh? What could you possibly have against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. If it is Ame no Miyuya that stands before us. But what if instead of facing Ame no Miyuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light. Whoa! Surely you
Espada
don't...
maldita.
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects. That the blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, affecting his state of mind. And more recently, using the sale as a means to affect, or rather, as a means to occupy, Ame no Miyuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already deduced the truth of the matter. Many, many years ago, I was forged by a famed
Vale,
bladesmith
es una
of the
espada
Isshin
egregia de
tradition.
Isshin, ¿no?
As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, all he could do was to flee the nation by sea on a ship bound for Snezhnaya. He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft, and sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. All of his life's work, his wisdom, his skill, he not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength, but in her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world.
So... swords can become conscious? And control people?
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade, a sharp and well-crafted one. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to the distant land of Inazuma. Moving from one person to the next, I controlled the minds of countless hosts along the way. I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power, the might of Isshin art.
So Ame no Miyuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them?
Vale, la espada esta
They
es
are but
mala de
tools that
cojones,
serve
literal.
my mission. When they got tired or injured or unusable, I
Vale, iba
hopped to the
pasando un
next
portador a
one in
otro, o sea
line.
que la espada esta es
All
más
I
mala que
needed
otra
them
cosa,
for
además.
was to take me back to Inazuma.
You're awful.
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse until Ame no Miyuya handed himself over to me on a silver platter. At long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. Kaedehara Kazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. There can be no other to serve as my host for what is to come. Now, give
Bueno,
your body
parece que quiere el
over to
cuerpo de
me.
Kazuha. Pues mi amigo, vamos a tener pelea y por fin controlamos al crack, así que vamos a por Ame no Miyuya. Vamos a aprovechar y vamos a probar un poquito al personaje de Kazuha. Fijaos qué top que es, A mí es un personaje que la verdad que me flipa, lo tengo y me molaría sacarme una constelación ahora que está, ya que tengo aquí y a todo.
We shall rewrite history.
Wow. Es que está muy top el personaje,
Wind Strider. As one with wind and cloud.
¡Adiós!
Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too.
Your bluff's fooling no one. You've lost.
Lost. I can never lose. It is this body that has reached its limit, nothing more. Even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me. He is but a puppet that can be replaced.
Entonces
I can
tendremos que
take
hacerte
a new
pedazos.
vessel. The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life before you can lift a finger. And even if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. My consciousness shall endure. By any means necessary and any medium available, I shall return and fulfill my destiny!
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art, but from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Aminome Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin art's secrets. The little that you know barely scratches the surface. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. If you are indeed a cursed blade that can possess its owner. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from...
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life, even if you were to sever that divine light. Is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired? Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream, and the very purpose for which I was brought into being. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedahara clan. If you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet, and I will put your strength to the test.
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to his demands.
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. A taste of my power will more than convince you. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Aminome Yuya from your...
I accept.
Vale.
Do this, Kazuha!
Es demasiado peligroso.
This is the only way to save Aminome Yuya. If we don't do this, he'll forever be the Blade's puppet. The cursed Blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. This suggests his heart is still not completely devoid of honor. The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Aminome Yuya fell prey to it. Since I don't have any similar kinds of obsessions, I should be able to put up some resistance for a while.
But even so...
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me. We have a chance here to save an innocent victim. I am willing to accept the risks entailed.
De acuerdo.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. Now, take me in your...
Bueno, esto no me lo esperaba, pero ahí está. Kazuha la coge. Y a ver qué pasa ahora. Pedazo legendaria, ¿eh? O sea, me ha molado mucho el rollo de espada. Nos va a tocar pelear contra él, creo. ¡Kazuha!
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but it's all right. So far, this was as I expected.
Avísanos de inmediato si sientes que algo va mal.
I will.
What should we do next? Have you got a plan, Kazuha?
We find some enemies. Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably hasn't experienced many real fights. If a blade built for Ishin art cannot enter a state of harmony between blade and bearer, it cannot unleash its true power. If he wants to avoid reality, then we need to fight until he has no choice but to face it.
Wait a minute. Paimon remembers hearing about something from the Adventurers Guild. Since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that secret base, it's been held by ronin ever since.
Parece una opción apropiada. Pues vamos a por los
All
ronin.
right. Please lead the way.
What about Amanuma Yuya? What should we do with him?
The blade says he'll let Aminoma Yuya trail us silently. Although he hasn't regained his own consciousness yet.
Are we sure this is a good idea? It's a pretty treacherous journey. Okay, fine. Just be careful.
Ok, pues parece que ahora hay que ir un poquito lejos. Así que vamos a hacer el TP. En este caso, como podéis ver, lo que más cerca se me ocurre sería venir al santuario. Y desde ahí pues ya continuamos. Ok, vamos al lío. A ver, se supone que desde aquí voy a poder llegar bien. Así que ya sabéis. A por ello. ¡Oh! A ver. Aquí, ¿no? ¡Oh! Pues antigua base ocupada. Vamos allá. Desafío de un jugador. Vamos con el equipazo. Ya por todas. Bueno, la típica mazmorrita, ¿no? Para disfrutar de una buena misión. Y parece que tenemos aquí a Kazuha. Así que vamos allá. Y empezamos con una pelea divertida, ¿no? Tenemos aquí a varios enemigos. Así que esto puede ser topísimo. Vamos solo con Kazuha, así que importante aquí lo que digo, usar su habilidad en el momento clave para poder tumbar a los enemigos y que no nos ataquen, ya sabéis. Cuando vayan a atacarnos, tiramos del R2 y esto pues nos va a hacer bastante sencillito. Vale, esto ya están. ¡Oh! Ha sido fácil.
You okay?
I'm all right. The blade is performing largely as I expected. Having gone so long without proper use and maintenance, it's become very difficult to use. Though he's making every effort to persevere, I do not think he can last much longer.
Something else on your mind?
How strange. Rather than trying to control me, he is instead trying to match my fighting rhythm. Let's keep going.
Bueno. Kazuha está a tope. Vale. Me está molando, Me está molando lo que digo. La legendaria está bastante cool. Y ojo, por aquí tenemos un cofrecito sofisticado. Aquí no veo nada más. Vale, aquí sí que hay... ¡Ronin! Ya sabéis. Cuando nos vayan a atacar intentamos ahí combinar el golpe. Y así, pues bueno, en lo que vuelvan a atacarnos vamos a tener otra vez cargado el ataque. Y como veis, podemos estar esquivando la gran mayoría de sus golpes sin que siquiera nos toquen. Así que va bastante bien. Esto me lo voy a guardar para luego. Vamos allá. ¡Toma! Vale.
Whoa. Something's up with the blade.
¿Qué sucede?
I can sense that his strength is slowly fading away. He cannot hold out much longer. If he keeps persisting, he will likely break apart at any moment.
But what would that do to Amanome Yuya?
I will be careful with it. He also says he does not have any plans to give up. He's still trying to achieve his goal.
Bueno. Vamos allá.
Time to go. Time to go.
Otro cofre.
Clouds high.
¡Hurra!
The birds call.
¡Fuera! Vale, este ya está.
Are you okay? It looked like you were really struggling the entire fight.
Yes. And it looks like he's
Vale,
reached
para
his
llegar al
limit.
límite.
The shine's grown a bit dimmer again. It doesn't look anywhere near as impressive as it did at the start.
Perhaps this time we'll finally have a chance to see his true form.
True form? What are you talking about? Huh? Is this the same blade as before? It looks like a piece of junk.
Está muy desgastada.
If you choose to continue in the state you're in, you wouldn't even be able to beat Samurai and Kairagi. Maybe you did truly wield power to rival the Shogun's light when first forged. But the long journey from Snezhnaya back to Inazuma has left you battered and broken. It barely needs stating anymore. Your ambition is a flight of fancy.
¿Crees que te hará caso?
I've finally figured out why it was that you agreed to my bet. You wanted to reach a state of harmony with me. For perhaps then you would still be able to wield commendable power. But regrettably, we are nothing alike. I will never understand your obstinacy and cruelty, nor can I empathize with the one who made you. The only one who truly understood you had already passed away by the time you
Hola.
were born.
Tristes palabras.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
Here they are! Take them down!
¡Ojo!
Where do they keep
No
coming
debería seguir
from?
usando la espada.
Yep. We can help this time.
Don't worry. I'll use my own blade. It's just more of the same.
Bueno. ¡Oh! Vamos a romperle la guardia. Atacamos por detrás.
Wind strider. As one
Whoa.
with wind and cloud.
Vale. Ya está. Me mola mucho combatir con Kazuha.
You fought way better with your own sword.
You are a true Kaedehara in flesh and in spirit. Though we fought briefly together.
Vale, por fin reconoce aquí Egregia de Ishin, ¿no? Lo que está pasando.
No one knew anything of my story throughout my travels, nor did I tell it to anyone. You are the first person to know the truth. I thought that if I could achieve Ishin harmony with you, perhaps there would still be a ray of hope for me.
But in this too, you have failed.
Indeed. No matter how hard I tried, I could not attain that perfect harmony that your personal blade does with you. Too much time has passed. My physical state is poor, and without proper maintenance, I can only disguise my true appearance behind an outer sheen. Yours is the blade that took on the Muso no Hitotachi. And what a magnificent blade it is.
Actually, this is just a generic blade that I picked up during my travels in Liyue.
¿Qué?
Forging and maintenance are both important for a blade, but they are not everything. This blade has traveled the land with me for many years, and we have formed a close bond during that time. Skill, blade, determination,
Bueno,
and
lección de
desire.
Kazuha tremenda.
All
Me ha molado
these
mucho lo
must
que
be
hemos visto con
aligned
esta
in the
legendaria porque
practice of
realmente
machine art.
vemos un poco más, ¿no?, de este personaje que, lo que digo,
There is
llevaba
something
mucho tiempo
else I
esperando la
must tell
legendaria. Yo pensaba
Though
que
your
iba
maker
a
may not
ir
have
del
been
tema
aware,
de la
your
visión,
ability to
de
possess
todo
your
aquello,
own consciousness
pero no,
derived
han
from the
sacado un tema
power of the
bastante divertido, en
Tatarigami.
este caso con el tema
Tatarigami
del
is a
Festival de Itodori,
malevolence
de
from
lo
the
que vivimos
ancient
de los
past.
clanes y todo esto,
It is the
y han
source of
sabido
your
darle un
mania
toque
and
diferente, lo cual,
savagery.
por lo menos a mí me ha
Though you
gustado
tried to
bastante.
cooperate with me while I was wielding you, the part of you driven by Tatarigami was constantly trying to seize control of my body.
I sensed it, but I couldn't change it.
I resisted its temptations because I wanted to save Amenoma Yuya. But I do not know whether you yourself have any intention of trying to fight it. I feel a great sense of regret for you. Since you embarked on a journey bound for a destination you were destined never to reach. The moment you embarked on this journey, you lost the only person who could have ever unleashed your true potential. You have known this for a long time. It is the true source of your despair.
He gave me everything. My life, my form, my consciousness. How could I possibly deny him his wish? I said to him, "Do not worry. From here on, I shall forge your legacy." How could I go back on my word?
Aww.
I believe our bet is now settled. I have nothing further to say.
Where are you going, Kazuha?
Y se
He
fue.
now has neither the ability nor the motivation to cause further harm. Let's give him some time to reflect on things.
Pues nada. ¿Qué queréis que os diga? Me ha flipado bastante, o sea, es lo que digo. Es una historia que es bonita, estamos viendo aquí que todo poco a poco no avanza con un sentido. Y ahora vamos a hablar con Kazuha, a ver qué pasa.
When I touched the hilt for the first time, it's as if I was transported to a strange dimension. It was somewhere I've never been. A bladesmith lay quietly on the bed, his frail face barely visible under the moonlight. His breaths were weak, and his life near its end. A newly forged blade lay by his side, listening attentively to his final words.
Wow. That was the Blade's memory, wasn't it?
Indeed. While in exile in Snezhnaya, the bladesmith eventually learned the truth behind everything that had happened. The Ishin art had been dealt a devastating blow by the desertion of its best smiths. He spent the rest of his life in the forge, not to vent his frustration and hatred, but to atone for his actions. He felt intense regret at being tricked by the Fatui, but he could never again return to his homeland. His sole wish was to one day return his single, proudest creation back to the land of his birth. So he instructed this sentient blade to find a way back to Inazuma, no matter how long or how hard the journey. But he never wished to rival the gods. All he wanted to show was that they once shone brilliantly as blade and smith, that they were still worthy of being trusted.
So that's the true story. But after that, the blacksmith's intentions were worked by the Tatarigami, slowly turning his proud creation into the cursed blade of today.
Right. I believe the bladesmith might never have known that the power he worked with was that of the Tatarigami. The hatred within that power is what sent the blade down its ill-fated path. This blade has committed unforgivable atrocities, but only because it lost its original master. No one was there to correct its errors when it was losing its way.
Shame it's too late now.
Yes, it is too late. Time would not wait or stop because of his determination. While the world moved on, his ambition remained stubbornly stuck at that fleeting... He seems to have calmed down, though. Let's go and check in.
Vale, pues vamos de nuevo a hablar con la espada o el portador, a ver qué pasa.
When I look back at the past, I can remember the day of my forging like it was just yesterday. I once told him that I would pay any price to fulfill his wishes. Such was the debt I owed to him for giving me the gift of consciousness. But darkness and slaughter numb the mind. Over time, I lost sight of the difference between gratitude and grudge. Not only did I fail to fulfill his ambition, I also defiled it.
You are finally seeing reality clearly.
Since we agreed to the terms of the bet, I will honor the agreement and release Amenoma Yuya. But I still cannot bring myself to forsake his ambition. It is the entire purpose for my existence. So, may I ask you to help me fulfill the ambitions of myself and my creator?
Hey! Now you're adding yours into the mix, too? Jeez, don't push your luck, mister.
It has to be done in this order. At least hear what I have to say. And if you don't agree, I will still release Amenoma Yuya as promised. My physical form, as well as the knowledge I possess, should still be of some value to you.
His attitude has grown a lot milder. What do you think, Kazuha? Should we give him a chance?
Claro
Let's
que
hear
sí.
it.
Vamos a escucharlo, va.
Thank you all.
Me dijo que quería que mi primera batalla fuera majestuosa, pero nunca más se volvió a levantar. Y yo nunca tuve la oportunidad de ponerme a prueba en batalla. Mis batallas no eran nobles, solo eran la siguiente parada de un interminable viaje, el siguiente paso de una larga lista de errores. Eres un excelente guerrero, me gustaría luchar contigo y ser testigo de un verdadero combate samurái.
Oh,
¿Contra quién lucharíamos?
I will release Amenoma Yuya and restore his consciousness. He must have plenty of reasons to both hate me and
O
desire
sea, quiere
a
luchar
good fight.
contra Amenoma Yuya.
understood. Then let's start by waking him up and seeing if he has the stamina and will to fight.
Pues nada. Vamos a explicarle a Yuya
I
todo.
see. He used my body to inflict harm on... I utterly despise him and his actions. But since he stayed true to your agreement by releasing me, if a duel can help to set this state of affairs in order,
Vale, acepta el
I
combate.
do not wish to be a mere victim in this.
There's no need to worry. We'll vouch for your innocence to the Tenryo Commission.
Thanks for your help. Who knows how this would have ended without your intervention?
All right, then let's move on. More ronin could appear at any moment. We can't stay here. In any case, for a final duel, I think we should aim for a greater sense of...
Pues nada, duelo final aquí por las espadas. Tenemos la buena recompensa en modo de este bonito desafío. Ahí está, ahí está. Y bueno, 10 protogemas más. Guay, ahí está. Venimos aquí, salimos fuera y vamos a ver cómo termina esta misión legendaria. Que lo que digo es una misioncita de, como estáis viendo, una horita o así, pero está bastante guay. También tenemos el encuentro del personaje nuevo, así que... hasta el día 15, ¿no? O sea, literalmente, esto estoy grabando el día 14. Mañana sale lo nuevo, sale lo que es la vuelta al archipiélago Manzana Dorada. Así que entiendo que ahí vamos a ver algo bastante interesante, ¿no? Con una nueva historia que seguro que me flipa. Por tanto, nosotros ahora vamos a venir aquí, vamos a hacer TP y vamos a ver si conseguimos averiguar un poco más, ¿no? De este duelo que parece que va a ser el final de esta aventurita. Vamos aquí a sprintar. Estoy listo para pelear.
Paimon a bit of the crux clash.
Eso fue algo más relajado.
Yep, we still can't let our guard down, even now. Still, even if he's way past the point of redemption.
Bueno, Paimon ya siente pena por la espada.
Are you ready?
¿Estáis listos?
Ready?
¿Listo?
Okay.
De acuerdo.
All
Vale.
successor of Ishin art.
Successor of Amenoma art.
Bueno, aquí tenemos dos sucesores de
Honored to
técnicas
cross blades
diferentes
with you.
que van a luchar.
It is my honor also.
Ahí, aquí está. ¡Oh, Menona Yuya! Ok, vamos a intentar esquivar. Vale, el ataque parece básico. Ya sabéis, hacemos ataque cargado. Mantenemos. Pegamos un golpe, mantenemos el botón, el círculo, y damos esta ráfaga de golpes. Esto la verdad que me gusta bastante con Kazuha. Pero bueno, tenemos luego la opción de hacer esto. Cerca del agua, importante para imbuir ahí el ataque. Ya hemos quitado media vida. Ahora simplemente golpeo rápido.
Fallen leaves, adorn my night. Wind strike.
Vale, ya lo tenemos. Ahí va, ahí va, ahí va. Pedazo de duelo, chaval. Dos técnicas completamente diferentes. La técnica de Ishin contra la otra. La técnica de Ameno.
He appears battered and broken. In your hands, it seems he's regained a glimmer of brilliance. His sense of savage cruelty has completely faded away.
You also fought well. I'm sure he relished the experience. There are a few things that I shall leave him to tell you himself.
I must apologize to you for all that has transpired.
You need not seek my forgiveness. Nor do I have the right to forgive you on your victim's behalf. It is too late for all of that.
I do not wish for forgiveness. I only hope that you will see my transgressions as mine alone and not let them stain the legacy of Ishin art. I strayed far from the straight and narrow path, but the Ishin art still has a worthy successor in Kaedehara Kazuha. I beseech you, please understand this.
Yes. I too trust Mr. Kaedehara to do the right thing.
Thank you, successor of Amenoma art.
This blade has also told me that he has another wish. He would like to visit the Amenoma smithy. Maybe we can go back there together.
What does he want to go there for?
A la herrería.
I'm not sure, but I think that all this is about to come to an end.
Pues vamos a la herrería a ver qué pasa. Ya sabéis que está aquí al lado, así que podemos venir por aquí a hacer el saltito de fe. Y ya sabéis, Xiao. ¡Ya lío!
Useless.
¡Hey!
It's Yuya!
I am sorry to have troubled you. It's all thanks to them that I was able to return safely.
Vale. Le explicamos todo lo que ha pasado a Menoma Tougo.
A prized Ishin blade. Turned
Aquí
weapon that
explicar el arma.
controls the human mind. Considering their forging philosophy, this was indeed within the realm of possibility. This is a great pity. But I have some good news as well. Ryuji, from the Bonton Songo Detective Agency, tells me that they've found the missing Mr. Nagato.
Ah, Nagato entonces está vivo.
Is he okay?
Yes, badly wounded, but he will live.
Vale, 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 vale. Entonces no ha muerto nadie.
And now that Yuya is back, it seems like the final ending to this story is a happy one after all.
I think I know what you want to do.
What's wrong, Kazuha? Is the blade whispering in your ear again?
Yes. He said he wants to take control of me for a brief moment.
What? No way! Hasn't it learned its lesson?
He tells me that he's thought of another way to fulfill his maker's wish. And he assures me that he won't use my body for anything nefarious.
Parece que al final
I have
Kazuha va a ganar
to let him
una
do
espada.
it.
But he... Ugh. Guess there's nothing we can say to change your mind, huh?
Es tu decisión.
Thank you. I will explain my reasons later. Okay. I am ready. Let us begin.
My power is almost spent. Without him, my eventual demise is inevitable. But if I abandon the future to give everything I have in this moment, my physical form can be forged anew.
Everything? You mean...
Yes. The cost is my entire consciousness. You were right. There's nothing that I can accomplish now. But there's still a chance for Ishin art. Once remade, I will be a valuable resource for your studies. Ishin lives on, and its finest hour is yet to come. Even if I am not the one to prove its might to the Shogun, as long as it is an Ishin blade, crafted by Kaedehara hands, it will still fulfill his final wish.
Oh.
Thank you, son of the Kaedehara clan. Over the years, my real name has been forgotten by all. I'm ashamed to utter it, yet it remains strong in my mind.
Kagotsurube Ishin.
This name is now yours.
¡Qué arma más guapa, chaval!
Rest in peace.
Yo la quiero. Necesito ese arma para Kazuha, de verdad os lo digo. Al salir de la herrería, mano, Kazuha te revela las últimas palabras de la espada. Sí, muy bonito, pero necesito el arma.
That's why he said it had to be done in that order. His consciousness will disappear forever after fulfilling the bladesmith's wish.
Kagotsurube Ishin. It was the first time I ever heard his name. It seems like deep down he disapproved of his own actions. Only in the final moments, before his consciousness faded, was he willing to entrust it.
Seems like he really wanted to fulfill his maker's wish.
The same fervent ambition that gave him the motivation to keep going forward also fueled the stubborn determination that blinded him to the path. Speaking for myself, I'd rather see him recognize and atone for his mistakes.
Pero es demasiado
than
peligroso.
say, I understand. Perhaps this is a flaw in my personality. Hearing his wish to rival the
Me
divine
encanta
light
Kazuha.
touched something
Es que es uno de
inside
mis
me.
personajes favoritos también por lo que
Just
digo.
as
El
the sight of
trasfondo,
those
la
who fought
pelea,
to
el
repeal the
sentido del honor que
vision
tiene es
hunt decreed
brutal.
Your
Y es
quest
un
to
enigma
face the
digno de
gods
entender.
and trace your sibling inspires me in the
Aquí
same
habla de
way.
la hermana del prota, que
After
lo que digo,
everything I've seen,
esa trama está más parada que
perhaps
parada ahora
these
mismo. A ver si ahora con lo de
pursuits fascinate me a
Sumeru
little more
volvemos a saber algo, porque vaya tela.
I will continue to support you from this point on. Know that you will have my assistance whenever you need it.
Te lo agradezco.
Wait, shouldn't we also go update Kujo Kamaji?
Es verdad que no hemos
Oh.
dicho nada.
You're right. We need to tell him about the findings, and it's also time to give him a response to the offer he made.
Vale, parece que esta ahora sí que es el final. Así que vamos a ir con nuestro amiguito. Se supone que aquí lo que yo recomendaría sería que uséis el TP. Ya sabéis, venimos aquí y vamos a tener la última conversación de lo que parece ser esta misión legendaria. Me ha gustado mucho el Rey de la Espada. Ojalá, lo que digo, nos la den más adelante, porque está guapísima esa skin para Kazuha. Estaría guay esa espada con ese diseño tan
You've
chulo.
returned. I hear
Bueno.
that the issue has been resolved. Though this was a treacherous investigation indeed, we're most fortunate that no lives were lost. The Tenryou Commission has already
Vale,
attended to
parece
the
que ya se ha
danger
hecho
of the
cargo, ¿no?
warehouse.
Vale.
The investigation into Amanoma Yuya should conclude soon.
Wow,
Vale, no lo van a
you
culpar de
sure
nada, eso
kept
es bueno.
your ear to the ground.
Then we needn't recount all the details again. Now, as to your earlier offer, I wish to give you my answer. Please take a look at this blade.
What's this?
Kagotsurube Ishin. A weapon crafted using a long-lost blade forging art of the
Está
Kaedehara
guapísima,
clan.
tío, el arma.
By means of a series of fortuitous events, I was able to recover and restore him. I also promised him that I will continue to study and pass on the secrets of Ishin art. And so, it looks like I will likely continue with my journey across the nations, learning more about this blade as I go.
I see.
The Kaedehara clan has always been a family of bladesmiths, so it is only proper for me to continue on this path. Were I to accept your goodwill, I may find myself embroiled in conflicts between the shogunate and Sangonomiya. That would not suit me.
You misunderstand. That was most certainly not our intent.
I am aware, but I still desire to continue walking my own path.
Very
Di que
well.
sí.
I can understand. Then let's pretend this offer was never raised. However, if you should ever change your mind or find yourself in need of the shogunate's assistance,
Great. Thank you for your generosity.
Where will you travel to next, Kazuha?
Bueno,
I'll
parece
probably
que se
take to
vuelve
the seas
con la
with
capitana
Captain
Beidou
Beidou
al
again
mar.
for now. As for my next destination,
Sumeru, di que Sumeru.
let's see where the wind takes me.
A Sumeru, a Sumeru. Necesito la continuación de esta aventura con la espada. Me ha parecido flipante. Hemos terminado la misión, como ya sabéis, continuará, así que más adelante tendremos alguna legendaria más de nuestro amiguito Kazuha. Nos la han dado y es un arma de 4 estrellas, chavales. ¡Wow! ¡Qué guapada! Pues lo que os digo, ya tenemos aquí nueva arma. Así que dejadme un momentito que os enseñe el inventario. A ver, esto ha caducado porque no lo he usado. GG well played, ellos. Y vamos a buscar un momentito la espada, ¿no? Que debería estar por aquí. A ver, ¿dónde está esa espadita? Ah, aquí está. Vale, está a tope, o sea, no tiene ninguna mejora ni se puede mejorar más allá, ¿no? Vamos aquí a autoañadir, vamos a mejorarla un poquito. Ya sabéis que como es una espada tenemos aquí el talentito de la Shogun Raiden que nos ayuda a que se haga todavía más fuerte. Y vamos a ver un poquito qué tal es, porque a nivel de diseño me parece flipante, ¿vale? O sea, es algo que, ojo, me faltan los materiales para extenderla, pero está bastante guay, ¿eh? Aquí tenéis un poco los detalles. Pero creo que puede venirle muy bien a un personaje como Kazuha, a todo esto. No sé ni qué arma tengo con Kazuha. ¿Qué arma tendré con él? Bueno, está por aquí, ¿no? Vamos a ver. Ah, lo tengo con un prototipo Rencor. Pues se la voy a cambiar, creo, ¿eh? Sé que esto es bueno a daño físico, pero lo que digo, esta es ataque, así que me mola mucho. Y le queda guapísima, así que es una opción buena. El completar una legendaria para recibir un arma que mola un montón con un personaje que para mí, lo que digo, es de mis favoritos del juego, así que está bastante guay. Y bueno, la verdad que no me puedo quejar, ha sido una aventura bastante interesante. Espero que os haya gustado el vídeo, espero que os lo hayáis pasado en grande con esta misión legendaria de Kazuha. Ya sabéis, mañana voy a intentar, si me da tiempo, traer el encuentro y ya ponerme con las islas. Y así pues tengo algo bastante guay. También tengo un vídeo preparado para después de este, que no sé cómo lo voy a publicar, por lo que digo, no me va a dar la vida, como siempre, aquí vamos a full. Pero ya veré cómo lo hago, ya veré cómo me cuadro aquí las cosillas, así os puedo traer el máximo contenido de Genshin estos días. Lo que digo, me ha flipado la misión, me gustaría saber vuestra opinión, espero que os haya molado. Como siempre, si os ha molado el vídeo, dejad el buen like, suscribiros al canal para estar al tanto de todas las novedades. Soy José Herrero, esto es KTS y nos vemos en la próxima, viajeros. Adiós.
All my friends are here, then take it slow.